Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sydney, and thank you, Eco America, for this invitation. First of all, a disclaimer. I'm a physician, but I'm not a mental health expert. My comments about this are based on many years of climate advocacy, mostly mistakes that I've made and some lessons that I've learned. Now, I haven't met all of you, but I bet I do know something about you. Your engagement with the climate crisis costs you at times. Holding this problem close takes a toll. For some of us, it's every day. It even has a name now in the mental health literature, as we've heard a couple of times today, climate or eco-anxiety. A lot has been written about mental health impacts recently, but most of it is aimed at people who've directly experienced major climate-related trauma due to extreme weather events, or towards those of us who feel anxiety over watching nature's deterioration. But for people like us who voluntarily engage on a regular basis with climate change, the burden is also significant and potentially even greater. Yet I'm willing to bet you could do more to prioritize taking care of yourself. Now, if you've done this work for any time at all, you're aware that the rest of life doesn't stop just because you've taken this on. So many people I've met doing this work have had to deal with additional job stress, illness, family issues, and of course, we've had this pesky pandemic for the past 2 years. In my own life, I've been through a career change, major home construction, and my wife's serious illness. There are resources out there that can help with this burden that we're choosing to carry. A few of them are, and you'll see the links in the chat. You can subscribe to a pretty entertaining and enlightening monthly online newsletter called The Climate Optimist from Marcy Frank at Sea Change in the Harvard School of Public Health. For women in healthcare, join a monthly community circle and reconnect with your purpose and values and reimagine healthcare as sustainable at Introspective Spaces with Dr. Anu Gorankati. And finally, you can read about fostering your own resilience in Eco America's excellent 2021 report, Mental Health in Our Changing Climate. In a brief blog post I wrote for Climate for Health last year, I summarized several lessons that I've learned. The link to that is also in the chat. But basically, they break down into three general categories. The first, practices for physical and mental well-being. This includes eating a healthy, mostly plant-based diet, getting regular exercise, with frequency being much more important than intensity, getting enough sleep, and practicing meditation, learning to turn off our minds, as we got some lessons with this morning. The key to these is just start somewhere. If you don't eat a particularly good diet, maybe eat a little less of something you know you shouldn't be having. Just do one thing and move forward from there. The next group is fight your climate fixation. Stop isolating yourself from others and from the rest of your life. Manage your news input. Go on a news diet regularly, or make sure that you take in all the good news you can find also. Get outside, get into nature once a day at least. And also spend time with friends and family. Share your concerns, but take the time to listen to theirs too. Key for these is don't wait until you crash. Do these every day. Recharge your heart as if it's alive. The third category is find the joy in this work. Practice gratitude. Take a few minutes every day and acknowledge everything that's going right in your world. I recommend you do that out loud. Also, find the funny. It may take a little work, but it's there. Remember, Mark Twain said, if you're going to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh or they'll kill you. And also banish guilt. Try making some climate confessions. Let's do this now. Let's do a little exercise. Get a piece of paper and something to write with. And I'm going to tell you two different categories of things that I want you to write down. First of all, write out 3 things or more that you've done recently that weren't especially eco-friendly. For me, I went to the farmer's market a couple of weeks ago when I bought some strawberries that weren't organic. And they were so good, I went back and bought them the next week. Or you can also write down silly things you do in the name of climate change that don't really make a difference. For me, I habitually ask total strangers sitting in their cars idling to turn the car off, which won't stop climate change, but it's a pretty good way to get shot. All right, so now 30 seconds. Just go ahead and write out some things that you've done. Maybe you feel a little funny about them. They weren't exactly eco-friendly. Or things that you do that are tied to climate change but don't really make a difference. Take a few seconds and write those down. Okay, if you could wrap that up. And what I want you to do is take your piece of paper, hold it in your hand with these things that you've written down, and crumple it up, toss it in the recycle bin. Good. The point is, we waste way too much time and energy trying to live up to some kind of an ideal, a state of Ed Begley-esque eco-piety we're never going to get to. And as it said in The Climate Optimist last month, our work is about persistence, not perfection. Finally, and importantly, acknowledge and reward yourself all the time. You are being the change we need in the world, and most won't really appreciate you. So you have to do this for yourself. I'm talking an extra latte or two, a massage, some really good wine, staycations. This is not being indulgent. After all, the better you're doing, the better it is for everybody, really for the whole world. The key here is finding and sharing your joy in this work will enroll many more people in activism than all the facts and the fear in the world ever could. Now, a key concept we have in medicine is that health is a function of balance. In biology, we called it homeostasis. All life forms suffer when they get out of balance for too long. The need for nature to keep her balance is the essence of the threat of climate change. Now, how that translates to us as activists is because of our fears that this engages, we frequently lose balance. Each of us has basically two parts. We have an individual today self and our community tomorrow big picture self. Doing this work, it's very easy to get lost in that community big picture long-term fear-based self. I remember during COVID, we learned that it didn't help to worry about what might happen. For a while there, we didn't know how bad it was going to be and whether vaccines would get developed, but it didn't help to be worried about that. Doing the same thing with climate change, we risk losing sight of our individual needs, ourselves, the people we care about, and enjoying our lives today. The problem of our climate isn't going to go away anytime soon, but notice, neither are the wonderful people we've met doing this work. And if you're as lucky as I am, you keep meeting more of them all the time. So many people are joining us now. Look around. The reality is, along with an urgent crisis, we've also gained many valuable connections, truly amazing people with open minds and huge hearts. It's more than colleagues. It's not just community. For me, it feels like family, one not of birth and blood, but one bound by caring and compassion, by a shared commitment to all of life on Earth. A year ago, I lost my wife to cancer, but a big part of how I got through that is because of you, the work we did together, and the support that provided on an ongoing basis when I really needed it. I am continuously renewed by our connections, and I'm deeply grateful for your partnership. I am so proud to be doing this work with you. Let's take the time now, today, and every day, and appreciate one another, this growing family of ours of caring and truly inspirational people. To wrap this up, the title of my talk should be Caring for Yourself is Caring for the Planet. Thank you for what you do. And thank you again to my friends at Eco America for this invitation. I hope to see you again soon and in person.